On The Young and the Restless, tomorrow, Tuesday, August 19th, 25, Diane wants to leave Genoa City, and Holden makes a new acquaintance. We've got the photo spoilers of what's coming up. On The Young and the Restless, Diane and Jack were supposed to go on a well-planned European vacation a couple of months ago. Diane had strategically planned a trip of a lifetime for the two of them, but it never came to be. They had been invited by the then mysterious Aristotle Dumas to his private summer estate in France and decided to put their plans aside to meet the elusive billionaire. Now that they are back from France and very caught up in a possible corporate war, tensions have been high. With Billy working with Cain and the Abbotts having no choice but to rely on their youngest brother to fight their battle, Jack's stress level has risen. Diane wants to help her husband relax. And what better way than to take him away from it all? Back in Genoa City, though, the buzz about Cain Ashby and what his plans are is keeping everyone on their toes. Holden Novak is having a hard time balancing his personal wants from his professional needs and knowing who to trust. Let's see what's going to happen on tomorrow's episode. So much has happened since Diane revealed her home decor makeover in the Abbott mansion. At one point, Jack and Diane were supposed to take a European vacation, but ended up trapped in the French Riviera. Diane wants to take her husband on a romantic getaway, but not matter how hard she tries, Jack is the most romantic. His accolades to his wife are endearing, and he loves to shower her with affection. Holden is a little bit lost these days. He's in Genoa City, with his only tie being to Audra, who was hired to split up Claire and Kyle. On one hand, Holden is fighting his attraction for Claire, but he also feels that Audra was the one who got away. Meanwhile, he's juggling a new job with Cain Ashby, whom he barely knows and has been told not to trust. When Holden meets Daniel Romalotti, he's instantly suspicious that somehow he too is connected to Cain. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. Set your DVRs now because the Thursday, August 21st episode of The Young and the Restless promises to be a game changer, a show shaker, and, quite possibly, a feud ender. Why's that? Victor's shocking decision may be to, gasp, team up with archenemy Jack. Unthinkable, you say? Ordinarily, we'd agree. But with Cain running around plotting to buy up everything in Genoa City except maybe Crimson Lights, the unthinkable may well be exactly what's required. At the moment, Victor is playing the new mover and shaker in town, making Cain believe that he wants to team up. But if, or should we say when, that doesn't pan out, the Black Knight is sure to say, "To hell with this interloper," and whack his piece off the chessboard. Who better to help Victor do it than the person who stands to lose as much as he does if Cain is successful? Jack. If after all these years, Victor and Jack buried the hatchet for long enough to stab Cain in the back, they could discover that it's every bit as much fun lashing out at others as it is smacking down each other. In other words, it could bring to a close what may well at this point be the show's longest-running storyline, their endless rivalry. If Victor and Jack were to call a truce, it wouldn't be like the soap would lack for enmity. The tag team would still be at odds with Cain. Nick is ready to take the erstwhile Dumas' head off, and Billy and Adam are as unlikely to ever shake hands and say bygones as they are to doubt their own business acumen. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, August 19th, reveals that Cain Ashby will warn that Phyllis Summers isn't his queen, while Diane Jenkins Abbott has an Italy twist in store for Jack Abbott. In the park, Tessa Porter will catch up with Claire Newman over gelato, so they'll talk about Cole Howard's passing and Mariah Copeland's decision to move out. Claire will also hint about things getting worse since Kyle Abbott came home from Nice, so Tessa will take her to Society for a drink so she can explain. Meanwhile, Holden Novak will be at Society's bar on the phone with Cain, so Daniel Romalotti Jr. will overhear Cain's name and quiz Holden once he hangs up. The conversation will include some info about Daniel's past with Cain and the fact that they've both been married to Lily Winters. Daniel will exchange introductions with Holden and admit he's protective of his mother, so he'll want to know if Phyllis aligning herself with Cain is a mistake. Holden will eventually grow suspicious of Daniel's questions and wonder if Cain put him up to digging for dirt. Daniel will assure Holden that's not the case, so Holden will relax a bit and open up about his desire to open a nightclub. Once Tessa and Claire arrive, Holden will order up a round of Vespers for all of them. Daniel, Holden, Claire, and Tessa will realize they're all dealing with losses of some form, so that'll give them a reason to bond. Although Holden lost the person he used to lean on when Cain died, Claire will feel confident that he'll find someone else to turn to. At the Abbott mansion, Jack will come home to find Diane has decorated with reminders of Italy. It'll be like a little staycation to make up for their derailed honeymoon. Diane and Jack will share some lovey-dovey moments as they discuss Harrison Abbott's imminent return home, which should be noisy since Summer Newman bought him an accordion. Jack and Diane will look forward to having rambunctious Harrison in the house again, but they'll enjoy the peace and quiet for now. After some talk about Cain and Victor Newman, Diane and Jack will discuss plans to reschedule their honeymoon, but they won't want to travel by train this time around. On Cain's train in Tuesday's Y&R episode, Phyllis will show up with a bottle of something fancy that she stole from Cain's chateau. Cain won't be in the mood to celebrate, since the twins still won't returning his calls or texts. Phyllis will reflect on faking her demise and point out that her own children came around, so she'll predict that Cain's kids will come around too. Phyllis will also talk about her belief that the Newmans are rattled since Nick Newman told her about wanting an alliance with Cain. After Phyllis admits there's something she should have told Cain already, he'll flip out thinking she's betrayed him and will demand answers. Phyllis will push Cain to chill since she'll just be talking about overhearing Lily at society. Since Phyllis realized Cain was probably struggling alone, she wanted to come lift his spirits. Things will get awkward as Phyllis tries to pat Cain's shoulder, so she'll decide maybe she's overstayed her welcome. Cain will stop Phyllis from leaving and seem like he appreciates the gesture since they're a lot alike. That said, Cain will make it clear that they're not partners and that Phyllis isn't the queen to his king. After Cain points out they're not equals, Phyllis will seem okay with that and will toast to their mutual admiration. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Phyllis and Cain's alliance could get messier as time goes on. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 3 weeks, August 18th to September 5th, reveal that Sharon Newman will find that she can't surrender. Sally Spectra will also face a tricky dilemma while Cain Ashby demands results, so there'll be some interesting challenges in Genoa City. The week of August 1822 will bring Claire Newman's blabbing and Nate Hastings's pressure, so Audra Charles will be forced to answer for her terrible behavior. While Nate fumes over Audra's breakup scheme for Victor and all the other sleazy moves she's made on Kyle Abbott, Holden Novak will lash out at Daniel Romalotti Jr. Since Daniel will ask too many questions for Holden's taste, it'll leave Holden worried that Cain hired Daniel to pump him for info and score dirt. Daniel will deny that and eventually find himself admiring Tessa Porter in brand new ways. The more time Daniel spends with Tessa, the more he'll want more than just friendship. Over with Victor Newman, he'll lock in a stunning decision that could leave even his closest loved ones taken aback. Victor could make a power play that his family doesn't see coming. As for Phyllis, she'll tackle Cain's first assignment and put a lot on the line, assuming this involves the hacking he requested. Cain will make it clear that he expects results, so Phyllis will need to prove her worth. During the week of August 25-29, Audra may try to salvage her broken relationship with Nate to no avail. This could bring out Audra's bitter side and leave her focused on revenge, so Kyle and Claire had better watch their backs. Sally may also face a tricky dilemma if Audra decides to accept her friend's job offer after all. Could Sally rethink that offer once Audra's blown up her life so spectacularly? Audra may be a liability, considering her impulsive behavior and how selfish she is. We're not exactly talking about a great team player here. Billy Abbott put Sally in charge, but there could still be some disagreements along the way when it comes to who's hired at Abbott Communications. The week of September 1-5 may leave Sharon on a mom-related mission. Mariah Copeland pushed Sharon to back off and threatened to distance herself if Sharon didn't listen. But Sharon can't just surrender when it comes to helping her daughter. At some point, Y&R spoilers say Sharon will inevitably make another attempt to support Mariah and encourage her to open up. If Sharon catches Mariah in a particularly vulnerable moment, there might come a day when she'll confess the whole smothered stranger ordeal. Over with Lauren Fenmore Baldwin. She may have the 3 dress options she promised Christine Blair for her wedding. Christine and Danny Romalotti aren't tying the knot until October, but Lauren will no doubt want to get the bridal gown choice squared away in plenty of time before the ceremony. Finally, Victor's Jabot takedown efforts could take a toll on his marriage to Nikki Newman. If the Newmans join forces with Cain on this like Victor wants, Nikki may be tempted to sabotage their efforts and try to help Jack save his family company. That's the kind of thing that could infuriate Victor and leave him at odds with Nikki in the not-too-distant future. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Victor will have to make some updates to his strategies along the way, so stick with us for more news on his feud with Jack. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for Monday, August 18th reveals that Nate Hastings will demand Audra Charles's secret, while Lily Winters rejects Cain Ashby's plea. On Cain's train, Lily will keep pressuring him to ditch whatever he's plotting and accept her help with the twins. Cain will want more from Lily and will push for another chance to rekindle their relationship. When Lily refuses to go down that road again, Cain will get fed up and decide he'll just do damage control with the kids on his own. Holden Novak will pop up at one point under the guise of discussing a job opportunity. Cain will back Holden up by acting like this is about hiring Holden to manage his Genoa City properties. Lily will take some jabs over Damian Cain's demise and warn Holden to watch his back if he doesn't take her advice to walk away entirely. At Society, Phyllis Summers will sense that something's up when Nick Newman isn't holding a grudge over Cain keeping him hostage. Nick will suggest he's hoping for peace and will seek Phyllis's help to make a Cain alliance happen. Lily will ultimately come along with updates on her Cain meeting and will show off her protective side when it comes to her children. Back with Cain, he'll warn Holden that he won't tolerate any disrespect toward Lily. Cain will also make a phone call in private to Charlie Ashby and urge his son to call back along with his sister, Maddie Ashby. At the coffee house, Claire Newman will continue to fume over Victor Newman's actions and will warn Nikki Newman that she's moving in with Kyle Abbott regardless of what her grandpa thinks. Claire will also complain about Audra's relentlessness and will shock Nikki with the news of Audra's latest stunt. After Claire explains how Audra put on a show and kissed Kyle in front of her, she'll hint about a dirty takedown scheme. Claire's vengeful admission will worry Nikki a bit, but her granddaughter will promise she's not going as far as kidnapping or poisoning Audra. This will just be about showing Nate Hastings the real Audra and blowing up her world in the process. In the park on Monday's Y&R episode, Nate and Audra will be back in town following Damian's funeral. Now that Damian has been laid to rest, Nate will get back to his questions regarding Vibranti and why Audra suddenly ditched her partnership with Victor. Audra will act like she just wised up and saw that Nate was right, that Victor couldn't be trusted and wasn't someone she wanted to partner with. Nate will think there's more to it than that, so he'll basically demand the rest of the story. The harder Nate pushes, the more agitated and defensive Audra will get. Audra will spin things around on Nate and suggest he's making her seem like some sort of sellout who'd never walk away from the money. However, Audra will compare it to the situation with Tucker McCall and act like this was about putting her self-respect first. Nate will also find out Audra already got another job offer from Sally Spectra. Nate will back off a bit in the end, but he'll still think it seems like something happened in Nice. The fact that Audra isn't being totally honest will leave Nate unhappy with this whole conversation. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Audra and Nate's romance may be hanging by a thread, so stay tuned to see if Claire will snap it. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, August 20th reveal that Audra Charles will accuse Kyle Abbott while Billy Abbott makes a furious demand. Tessa Porter will also tempt Daniel Romalotti Jr., so there'll be a lot happening in Genoa City. First on Wednesday's Y&R episode, Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson will face more backlash from Billy. This may involve additional media attacks or perhaps the alliance that Nick Newman is now pursuing with Cain Ashby. Whatever the case, Billy will unleash his anger as he demands more information. Over with Daniel, he'll see Tessa in a different light. Daniel has already been developing real feelings for Tessa, but his attraction to her may intensify even more in Wednesday's show. It could leave Daniel tempted to kiss Tessa or tell her how he feels, but will any bold moves be made? Regardless, Daniel will struggle with some Tessa temptation after they share some close moments. Next, Audra will try to spin things around when it comes to all the Kyle drama. We'll see Audra once again accuse Kyle of coming onto her, so she'll act like Kyle's the one who can't keep his hands and lips to himself. Audra's blame game may come as Claire Newman approaches Nate Hastings to tell him all about what his girlfriend's been up to. Claire will be eager to expose Audra's attempt to blow up her romance on Victor Newman's orders. Nate also needs updates on the kiss Audra planted on Kyle at Society, so Claire will prepare to deliver some scandalous information. Despite Audra's efforts to wiggle out of the consequences of her actions, that plan is destined to fail. Nate will back Audra into a corner before the week's over and push for the whole truth, so their relationship seems destined to implode. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Audra should have plenty of regrets now that some terrible news is brewing for her own romance. Diane has a surprise for Jack. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, August 19th, find Phyllis feeling confident about how badly Cain needs her and how much he wants to hear what she has to say. Even before they'd met, Phyllis was amused that Dumas would be dying to hire her. Once Dumas identified himself as Cain, she got even more excited that Cain would not only want to hire her, he'd want to make her a partner, and that he'd hand her Chancellor Industries as a reward for being herself. None of that has exactly happened yet, but it won't stop Phyllis from laying out her game plan for what Cain should do for her, and how grateful he should be that she's giving him the opportunity. Victor hates that Claire won't dump Kyle simply because Victor told her to. Would he be happier to know that Holden is starting to develop feelings for the Newman heir? Helping Claire through her anxiety attack has made Holden wildly attracted to the perpetual victim, but he knows he should be keeping those feelings to himself. After all, Claire has a boyfriend, and no one in Genoa City has ever cheated on anyone. Holden wouldn't want to tempt Claire into being the first. Nice was supposed to be a honeymoon for Diane and Jack. That didn't quite work out, so Diane decides to make it up to her husband. She whisks Jack away on a romantic trip, during which they can forget Cain and Victor and the potential Jabot takeover and Billy's ongoing tantrums. But as long as Jack has his phone and Kyle has his number, just how relaxed are his parents going to be able to get? Could Cain and Audra rise up like a phoenix? Together? Both Audra and Cain are down on their luck. The chances of Cain and Lily reconnecting are slim. Meanwhile, Audra not only lost Vibrante, but could also lose her boyfriend Nate. Fans of The Young and the Restless feel they could team up to become the ultimate power couple in Genoa City. Cain's life didn't turn out the way he anticipated. But what do you expect from a billionaire who wants to snap up everyone's businesses and properties? He revealed himself to be Aristotle Dumas, the man of mystery who kept a close eye on everything. He used the pseudonym to acquire wealth and to hopefully get Lily back in his life. Audra has a lust for power as well. She was hoping to finally get her own beauty business that she would get to run. But that was snatched out of her hand quicker than you can say. Who's Aristotle Dumas? Victor asked Audra to seduce Kyle so she could destroy his relationship with Claire. Surprisingly, this didn't work out in her favor. She ended up losing this business opportunity. Audra could also end up losing her relationship. The Y&R spoilers suggest that Claire has important intel for Nate, which is going to leave him questioning his girlfriend. Y&R fans are debating whether Audra and Cain could become power couple material. The conversation took place on a soap opera message board. The original poster asked, "Does anyone think Audra and Cain could be a great power couple? They team up and take down Victor for good and give Victor a taste of his own medicine?" Apparently, fans are mixed on this idea. Some love the idea of the two hooking up but not getting romantically involved. One person wrote, "No, I just don't see them as a couple. Hook up, yes." Another person commented, "Sorry, but I don't want Audra to hook up with anyone. She's such an evil witch, and I'd hate to see her get her claws into Cain." But fans don't want Cain to become as weak as Tucker did whenever he was around Audra. She used him and abused him until she was tired of him. However, most fans don't believe they would become power couple material. Rather, they would be two underdogs who would and could take anyone down. Nick teased about Summer's heartbreak, which could lead to an act of revenge. Phyllis and Nick are worried about their daughter, and understandably so. Summer went through her share of heartbreak on The Young and the Restless. Nick's recent words teased that his heartbroken daughter could eventually return with a desire for revenge. The last time that Y&R fans saw Summer was in early May. Two of her employees, Chelsea and Sally, quit their jobs at Marchetti to work with their respective boyfriends. Summer had to travel back to Europe to find fill-ins. It was also Lanier's last time in her role as Summer Newman. A recast is not happening anytime soon. However, Nick seemingly teased his daughter's return at some point. On the Monday, August 18th episode, Phyllis and Nick caught up and talked about their daughter. Phyllis wondered if Summer had fallen in love in Milan. Nick believed Summer was keeping herself busy with men and work. He knew that Jack believed Summer wanted Kyle back, but Phyllis wanted Summer to move on from someone who had broken her heart so many times. It's likely that Summer is staying in Milan to avoid the pain. First, she lost Kyle to Claire, and now Chance lost his life. Love hasn't been kind to Summer. Phyllis told Nick that their daughter tends to leave when she's hurting. However, Nick is confident that their Supergirl will persevere through it all. It's possible that Y&R is gearing up for Summer's inevitable return. She'll want to get revenge on both Claire and Audra. Word is about to spread about what went down in Nice between Audra and Kyle. In the meantime, Audra has no issues with blowing up her relationship. She kissed Kyle out in the open at Society. Meanwhile, Claire is building up her own inner strength. She isn't afraid to take on anyone, even if it's Audra or Victor. We'd like to see her go head-to-head with Summer once she makes her triumphant return. She'll have her hands full with these two ladies, who are currently fighting over Kyle. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victor Newman is determined to team up with Cain Ashby to take down Abbott. However, Nikki Newman has already informed him that she wants nothing to do with this. Will Victor alienate the rest of his family and end up alone? Victor has been so controlling over Claire Newman since she got with Kyle Abbott that she has turned against him. Victoria Newman recently called Victor out on his treatment of Claire. Victoria also called him out on his tendency to interfere in her love life as well. Victoria missed years with Cole Howard years ago because of Victor's issues with him. Now that Cole is gone, Victoria is done with him and is meddling. Victoria isn't about to watch her father keep up meddling in everyone's lives. Victoria is on the verge of pulling away from Victor, just like her mom. Nick Newman was happy with Sally Spectra, just as Adam Newman was. However, Victor manipulated that situation and made sure that neither of them ended up staying with Sally. Now that Adam is with Chelsea Lawson, Victor is causing issues by going after Billy Abbott. If Chelsea leaves Adam, he will certainly blame Victor for them breaking up. Victor doesn't care that his vendetta with the Abbotts is threatening his son's relationship. Victor is going to make sure that Adam does exactly what he wants him to do, no matter what. Adam's relationship could end up on the rocks very soon thanks to Victor. Victor has been doing very good at alienating his family. Now that Victor has pushed his family to the limit and has agreed to partner up with Cain, he could very well end on fighting the Newmans and everyone else in Genoa City on his own. Victor is making demands on his family that they just cannot stick to, no matter what he suggests. Will Victor continue with his plans to try to outsmart Cain? Will Nikki continue to stand by and watch Victor attack Jack Abbott? Can Victor manage to take down Abbott and hand it over to Cain? Will Victor end up alone after going after the man who has saved Nikki's life? Will Victor alienate his family to get what he wants? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease Audra Charles might find that her pregnancy could mend her relationship with Nate Hastings. If Audra does share the news of her pregnancy at any time, will it be a genuine baby on the way? Or is this just another act of desperation? Nate is beginning to doubt Audra's real motives for severing her relationship with Victor Newman and for abandoning the Vibrante funding that once excited her. Audra has been attempting to present it as if it was her choice, despite the fact that it was Victor who dismissed her. In the August 18th episode of Y&R, Audra will irritate Nate by withholding the complete story. Nate will quickly realize that he is missing crucial information, but Audra will react defensively and snap at him for his relentless inquiries. Nevertheless, Claire Newman will later approach Nate, ready to throw him some unexpected surprises. Nate needs to be informed about Audra's attempts to sabotage Claire and Kyle Abbott's relationship. Since Audra failed to orchestrate a breakup, that's the actual reason her funding was withdrawn. It seems Claire will inform Nate about this, as well as Audra's choice to kiss him publicly. Audra is quite the manipulative troublemaker, so Claire might make that abundantly clear to Nate. Still, Nate will seek the truth directly from Audra, which will leave her cornered by the end of August 1822. Audra might decide to come clean and attempt to mend things, but Nate is likely to be furious about her actions and the subsequent deceit. This situation could potentially lead to the end of Audra and Nate's relationship. So what steps might Audra take to save it? Is it possible that Audra could eventually announce a pregnancy, leaving fans in suspense about its authenticity? She might assert that she became pregnant just before her trip to Nice. On the other hand, Audra and Nate could have had a passionate reunion upon her return, which might serve to distract him from his grief over Cain. In that scenario, Audra's revelation about her pregnancy could be postponed. It wouldn't be the first instance of a couple attempting to make things work for the benefit of a child. Audra may leverage this as her opportunity to persuade Nate to give their relationship another shot, but there's a possibility it could all be a ruse. We wouldn't be surprised if Audra resorted to a fake pregnancy as a desperate measure to keep Nate by her side. She may have done it before with Noah Newman. She might accidentally spill the news and then have to sort out the details later if it turns out there's no baby at all. Regardless of the situation, the Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that there's no limit to what Audra will do, so keep an eye out for any surprises she might bring. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks suggest lots of curveballs. From August 18th to 29th, fans can expect Phyllis Summers to make a sneaky move. Claire Grace Newman gets ready to strike back at Audra Charles. Plus, Victor Newman unleashes a dramatic twist. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Before getting to the 2-weekers, let's talk about what is coming up from August 1822. Fans will see Phyllis make a deceptive move on behalf of Cain Ashby. Fans just watched Cain not have any success with Lily Winters. Later, Nick Newman turns to Phyllis for some help. It seems that Phyllis will definitely put in a good word for Nick. After all, anyone is better than Billy Abbott. Over with Diane Jenkins Abbott for a real vacation. The events in Nice were stressful and devastating, so they will need a real vacation. As for Holden Novak, he will try to fight his feelings for Claire. Holden will also have some beef with Daniel Romalotti Jr. Regarding Claire, she tells Nate Hastings information about Audra Charles. Eventually, Nate forces Audra into confession, but she tries to put all the blame on Kyle Abbott. There is also Daniel, who sees a new side to Tessa Porter. As for Billy, he will demand answers from Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson. Plus, Victor has a surprise for everyone. Meanwhile, Cain gives Phyllis her first assignment. During the week of August 23rd, fans can expect Audra to face more losses. It seems that Nate might not forgive her for that scheme with Kyle. It would be one thing if Audra confided in Nate, but she kept him in the dark. Audra's anger and bitterness seem to be escalating. Once she loses Nate, she will truly have lost everything and everyone. That makes her really dangerous. However, there is also Claire, who might continue to play games with Audra. We could be seeing a rivalry spiral out of control, which would be Victor's fault. Which woman will end up winning in the end? I'm not talking about Kyle, who cares about love triangles. I'm talking about Claire being raised by Jordan versus a woman who has nothing left to lose. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next.